Well, I'm late starting my broadcast, and that's okay because there's nobody there. Wonder if it's a decent enough time to do it. So, I want to talk a little bit about what's happening with the old Joe Biden situation because everybody's still concerned about if he's going to be president. And I'm going to tell you, spoiler alert, he's not. So if you want to round up a few friends and say, hey, Kev, how do you know so much? Well, here's what I do know. I know that the Arizona legislature is now about to meet, that Pennsylvania will probably recall theirs, and that all these states that are in question are being given irrefutable, I was going to say unrefutable, irrefutable data that shows the election was a cheat. Now, it's the obvious. We know this, right? And I liken this to the skit where the wife comes home, catches her husband in bed with a hot woman, and both of them just get up, get dressed, and the woman leaves. The husband goes and gets his paper and sits down, and he's reading his paper, and the wife's just sitting there looking around going, what? You know, I know what I saw, and they're just pretending that it never happened. And the Democrats want to pretend that it never happens. And so they're out there doing this thing. Hey, Joe Biden, he's president-elect. And Mexico is going to work, has vowed to work with Joe Biden on immigration. And China has vowed to work with Joe Biden on trade. Really? The most compromised guy in history is, and everybody's willing to work with him. And have you seen this freak show of his of the people that are being selected? I haven't even bothered to look. I'm not going to learn the names of this circus sideshow that's got the bearded lady, the two-headed midget plate spinner, and whatever else. I'm not even going to bother because they're never going to be in the White House. Never. So you've got this. Why do we think we call it a freak show, a media circus? We call it a media circus because it's exactly what the media wants to do. They are pretending that, oh, Biden's president, and let's all just pretend that none of this stuff that we saw really happened. Let's forget about the irrefutable mathematics around this whole circus that we want to claim is an election win for Biden, and we're going to pretend. And now we've got, he's now president-elect officially, right? So he can now not violate the Logan Act and go talk to all these different people that he's been talking to. And of course, they all respect Joe Biden. They're for him. So we're going to get here all these different world leaders who've now accepted Joe Biden in this transition that's due to occur. That will never occur. Okay? So the circus act continues. Did you see? I'm telling you right now, I don't know a single person by name on the Biden transition team, but Melissa was showing me the lady, I use the term loosely, who's going to head up education. Excuse me. I don't know I think she's a transsexual something or another. I don't know. So then Biden says, hey, I've got all these, I've got the most diverse cabinet in history. I've got blacks, I've got Latinos, I've got midgets, I've got two-headed snakes. I've got them all on my cabinet. Look at me. Look how great I am. And let me tell you, if he were to get in and he's not, none of them would ever have anything to do. The Biden administration would be controlled completely by the elites. The very people who we walked in on as they were in the bedroom, got dressed, walked out, and want us to pretend that we didn't see what we saw. That's who would be controlling Biden. That's why I look at every time Biden makes a decision or says what he's going to do, or I'm going to issue this, it isn't Biden. This is somebody pulling his strings going, this is what you will do. So if the leftists want this to occur, good for them. So anyway, let me tell you what I do know. I do know that a group of data analysts led by a member of our team, met with the Arizona legislature and a couple of congressmen here, staunchly conservative congressmen, set it up, and they said, we can definitively prove that Arizona cheated in the election, that this is not a fraudulent election. And they showed it to them, and the congressmen were aghast. And I'm going to tell you right now, you will see this, the video's up, it's on Rumble. It's strictly for Arizona, but they said the same thing happened in all of the battleground states. They show empirical data that proves beyond a shadow. That's why I was getting after people that would say, Kevin, well, the president had 3,000 more votes in Michigan in this county or what. I'm like, man, forget about the 2,000 votes here. And if we flip these votes and Trump wins by 2,000 votes here, that's nonsense. Trump got taken advantage of by millions of votes. Millions. It was a huge cheat. So, it's arbitrary to talk about the small number of votes. The number of votes were flipped, and now there's no question. These are some of the top data analysts. I mean, I can tell you point blank, the people that are doing this are the best in the world. So they presented it to Arizona, and Arizona went, holy crap, we got to do something. So they're calling for a special session of the legislature. Now, Doug Ducey, who is our rhino governor, he's going to fight it, but it's going to be pretty tough to fight. And I'm going to predict, and I've said it before, many of these people are going to end up in prison over this. They're going to go to prison because they know what happened. So that's stage one of what's going to happen. But I want people to understand, because I keep talking about, because people are like, Kevin, how are you so convinced that we're not going to lose this thing to Joe Biden? Well, I'm going to tell you why. It's very simple. The founding fathers in 1776 actually prepared for this very moment. They did. You got to think about these slave-owning white men who wrote slavery out of the Constitution with Article 1, Section 9 that said there will be no more importation of slaves. And then 300,000 white men died with 36,000 blacks to enforce Article 1, Section 9 that said January 1st of 1808, we will have no more slavery in this country. That's how forward thinking these slave-owning white, racist white men were thinking ahead of their time. It's a document, man, that was written, touched by the hand of God, driven by the Magna Carta. I don't want to go into history because then I'll lose the 6 or 7 people I got on the show right now. But by the way, thank you guys for showing up. I don't care how many people are here. I was going to do this morning anyway, because I knew what was going on in Arizona. So these very learned white men said, you know what could happen? All of this could happen. It could be the big cheat, and we're going to prepare for it. So while everybody's scuffling around going, oh, well, let's hope that Lynn Wood does it, or let's hope that Sidney Powell does it, or let's hope Giuliani or whoever, Jenna, what's her face, are the people that are going to resolve this. The person that's going to resolve this is the Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, and the president himself. And let me tell you why Donald Trump will not let this stand. He doesn't care about the number of riots, because there's a rumor that Roberts said when they threw out the Texas case, he screamed, oh my gosh, there could be riots if we let this happen. I don't know if that's true or not. The Supreme Court doesn't make decisions based on that. And if they did, it just means that the real fix is still in. But the big issue is, will somebody have the guts to implement the Insurrection Act, to go to Donald Trump's executive order and say, yeah, I have balls the size of Alaska, and I will absolutely implement this because I can guarantee you this election was stolen. Millions of people disenfranchised because a bunch of elitists want to do something else around the globe. And here's the thing. I want you to feel some comfort, folks. Donald Trump, when he implements this, it's going to have a ripple around the world, because what he understands is this is not an American leftist problem. This is a problem where many, many elites around the world participated. Many, many countries have participated. And when he takes his second term, it's going to be hell to pay. And he will, I'm telling you, he will, not might he will invoke whatever policies he needs to say this election is null and void. Now, the Democrats have sort of hoped for this. That's why they continue with all this transition activity. And they're going, oh man, we got to pretend that this is happening. We got to pretend that he's pulling all this away from Biden. But here's the problem. Nobody believes him. Biden says, I'm going to forego an inauguration because of COVID. We all know the reason why Joe Biden would forego an inauguration, because he couldn't get 20 people to show up. That's the reason. The same reason why he couldn't get people to show up to any of his other stuff. There's nobody that has any fervor for this guy. If you believe that America is going to go to war because they want Joe Biden in there, then you're believing the media hype. Let me tell you, nobody gives a crap about Joe Biden. The black community overwhelmingly, not so much in a plurality, but in the number of blacks that normally vote for Trump, overwhelmingly vote for Republicans, they overwhelmingly supported Trump. 3x the number from 2016. You're not getting black folks screaming and hollering. Yeah, you'll have people will get paid to go riot or do some things. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be a safe America when Donald Trump takes his second term. It'll be a safe America because the military will be involved, the National Guard will be involved. Anybody that needs to be involved will be involved. But here's what the real issue is: people do not give a crap about Joe Biden. People do not give a crap about Green New Deals and climate change and all this nonsense. You know what people give a crap about? They give a crap about the economy. They give a crap about going back to work. Pardon me. They understand that Donald Trump is going. Sorry, guys, I had an operation on Tuesday of this week. And so my stomach is still hurting from my operation. I got 5 holes poked in my belly. And they did a laparoscopy or whatever. I don't know. I didn't sleep at a Holiday Inn Express last night, but I had an operation on Tuesday. So I'm even surprised I'm doing this. So here's my point. There's not going to be any mass insurrection. They may try, but it's not going to happen. When Trump takes over, you're going to watch the longest and most beautiful perp walk in history. People that you don't even believe will be arrested are going to be arrested. And Donald Trump's going to say, and here's the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And as these people start to fall, you're going to watch him then enter international warrants for people that participated. And that's when it's going to get interesting. And he will do it. And let me tell you why I know. Not because I'm an insider, but because on many levels, I think like Trump. I ask myself, what would I do if I legitimately won and you say that I lost? Well, if I was running in a race, in a relay, for example, let's say you bump me and I know you bump me or you trip me, I might let it go. It's just a race. I know I can outrun you. I'll get you next time. Maybe I'll even trip you. But for something this important, if you don't think Donald Trump has it in his heart that, you know what, as I said, let Sidney Powell and Lynn Wood and Jenna Ellis and all of them, let them play, let them do what they're going to do. I need to let this thing run its course. Why does Trump need to let it run its course? Because he needs to know all the snakes in the pond. That's why. I said on election night to everybody, look, if this were an easy election, we would be dealing with what we're dealing with now at some point in the future. It couldn't be an easy election. We needed Donald Trump to lose this election knowing that he won it. And we need every one of these processes to play out. Ask yourself this. You got a Republican governor in Georgia. This should be a no issue. You've got a Republican legislature. Why wasn't the Republican governor telling the Republican legislature, look, there's a cheat. Let's vote it. Let's get our new electors in. We're going to make this election null and void. I'm not going to certify. We got a Republican governor in Arizona. Why didn't he just certify? You do it. Republican legislature. Why didn't all this happen? It didn't happen because if it did, it would be too easy. The way it's played out has to play out. We have to take the Constitution to its bitter end where the president says, I'm going to take it to the nth degree, and everybody in it, including these rhinos that we've allowed to get elected because we think they're Republican or they're the lesser of the two evils of the different people of the different parties. How many times have we voted for the lesser of two evils? And held our nose. McCain, I certainly did it. I'm so happy he didn't get elected. Romney, I thought Romney was the best thing since sliced bread. I will tell you right now, stupid mistake. But we finally did it to get to Trump. And now we know what it looks like. So everybody's on notice. And I want you to just think about when Kemp gets his perp walk, when Ducey gets his perp walk, people that knew these elections were fraudulent and they allowed them to occur. When they signed off, when President Trump was calling Ducey, right before he signed off. We have a video of it. His dun, 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 ring on his ringtone. That was the president calling the governor of Arizona. And he put his phone down like this to say, I'm not answering, because he's a McCainite. He's a rhino. And so you get the president now going, okay, Kemp's not my friend. Ducey's not my friend. McConnell calling Joe Biden president-elect, he's not my friend. All this playing out shows everybody in the food chain. It takes in secretaries of states, attorneys generals, you name it. It needed to play out this way. And so at the very end, when it seems hopeless, the guy who wrote The Art of the Deal pulls the rug out from under all of them and says, okay, you've been asking for me to play dictator. I'll play dictator. I'll take the Constitution to its bitter end. And the reason why Trump will do it is what I said earlier. You cheat me in a race, you cheat me in something that doesn't matter, I'll eventually get you back, but it's no harm, no foul. I'm not worried about that. That's a trophy. That's a ribbon. That's a medal. Who cares? The belief in America as a system that our voting cannot be, we cannot be disenfranchised at a level that is unprecedented in history, that makes us look like a third world kangaroo court or whatever. The point is, there's no way a president like Donald Trump allows that to happen. And he plays along. So between what I do know, with the evidence that's been now presented to Arizona, that is now being presented across all of the different battleground states, everybody will see the same information, pulled data as it was being tabulated, and these data experts looking at this data and saying there is mathematically no way this happens. We'll show you, and I don't know how to post the video, or I'd post the video for you to see it. But a member of my team is on that team that presented that data to Arizona, and it's been given to everybody. So if you can look at that data and then say, oh, no, it's still a free and fair election, then what you're saying is, I'm a lying scumbag skank, and I cheated with everybody else, and you will eventually end up in prison. And that's what I predict is going to happen. And let me go to the chat room here. You got a Great Reset. Yep, that's what people want to do. They think this is the Great Reset, but it is the Great Reset. We should take control of the Great Reset. You want to know why? Because the Great Reset is the American people getting our country back. I was talking to a friend of mine. He lives in Toronto, Canada, and he said to me, he goes, Kevin, I really admire Americans because you actually talk smack about your politicians. You will criticize. He goes, Trump has been criticized more than any president in the history of man. But he goes, the idea that you guys can do that so openly and so freely, he goes, we'll say a little bit about Trudeau, but then we leave it alone. But you guys really go after whoever. He goes, you'll go after Biden like he's a nobody. I go, because he is a nobody. See, the difference between us and them is we actually believe in freedom, and we believe we, the people, are in control. Now, the Great Reset is to make us believe that we're not. But here's what I'm going to tell you. The Great Reset's been flipped. When Donald Trump serves his second term, you're going to watch the people roar back and say, yes, we are in control. You're going to watch us do what we do as Americans. We export excellence. That's what I tell people all the time. When we had Barack Obama in place, we exported the worst of our culture. There was terrorism all around the world. There were people Thug Life t-shirts. You can see them anywhere you go. I've been all over the world. There are people wearing Thug Life t-shirts. We export the worst of our culture when the left are in control. When Donald Trump, when people like Trump are in control, we export the best of us. We export capitalism. We export the American spirit, the things that people want when they come here. So that's the beauty of it. So this Canadian is telling me, I so admire Americans. He goes, you're so about your freedom. Think about what Fauci said the other day. Fauci said this: the spread of Wu flu would be much better if Americans didn't have such an indomitable spirit. If we didn't have such a spirit of freedom. I mean, those weren't his exact words, but essentially what he's saying is, you're the reason that idea that you can't tell me what to do is the reason why the spread of the Wu flu. Well, let me tell you what the reason for the spread of the Wu flu is. It's because that's what viruses do. Just like the flu, just like the cold, that's the reason. It has nothing to do with this American spirit. This disease is spreading anywhere else. It exists in the same way that it spreads here. In the air, somebody getting in contact, and the more densely populated you are, let me put it to you this way. If you live in a city, you're more likely to get the Wu flu than if you live in the country. You know, I don't need to be Dr. Fraudchi to tell you that. But he wants you to believe it is your indomitable spirit. It's that American attitude that's making you do it. Because what he's telling you is, I want your attitude. You need to put your attitude in check, America. Who are you? Why do you think you're so bad, American people? How dare you want to live actually to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? How dare you want to have an indomitable spirit that is defined by the American spirit? Something you don't hear anywhere else. You don't hear, hey, how about the Chinese spirit? Or how about that Japanese spirit? Or Japan spirit or Canadian spirit? You don't hear of it in any other country. You don't hear of it as a Swedish spirit. You don't hear of it as the British spirit. The only spirit you hear people talk about is the American spirit. I don't care how great Dubai looks. You will never hear the Dubai spirit because the people don't have it. That's what we have. Anyway, let's see. Well, all snakes get their heads chopped off. Yep. What Gitmo enlightening video. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate you saying that. We the people standing up for the U.S. Look, the U.S. sets the pace for everything. Donald Trump realizes that. He realizes if Joe Biden gets into office, number one, it would be talk about the guy, the least likely person you want following your presidency as a loss. That in and of itself tells me Donald Trump will never, ever go down. Now, the Democrats tried to set us up for this. Oh, look at the polls for Joe Biden. He's so popular. Donald Trump, he's not very popular. Well, it was really funny that one person couldn't get anybody to show up to his events. The other person was maxed out at every event. And what did they do to try to get rid of the events? The old Wu flu. They used the Wu flu. They said the Wu flu is the reason why we need to have all these absentee ballots. So we had 10x, 20x the number of absentee ballots in almost every major metropolitan race, major battleground state race, 10x minimum of absentee ballots because they wanted you to believe the old Wu flu is the reason why we need to have that. So it's all a ruse to make you believe that Donald Trump, was not popular. Joe Biden was, et cetera, et cetera. All a ruse. So we find ourselves, with the left trying to convince us of what we see with our own eyes, you can feel it around you. I would travel places. I wouldn't see in cities. I wouldn't see Biden signs in cities. I was traveling in one big city. I think I saw 3 Biden-Harris signs, and I probably drove 15 miles across that city. I saw 3. Nobody cares about them, and they needed us to care. They need people to believe that there's this overwhelming thing for Biden, and it doesn't exist. And so Trump understands that. Anyway, what were we talking about? American spirit. People need to go live somewhere else. Screw them. Yeah. So all I'm telling folks to do is you hang in there. Donald Trump is not going to let this occur. The system will play itself out. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Everybody, they were setting us up for, well, Donald Trump, he could actually lose the election in a landslide and still stay in office. That's what they were saying. I heard Van Jones say that. And this was before the election. I went, Van Jones, what drugs are you using these days, bro? There's no way Biden wins in a landslide over Trump. Quite the opposite. And of course, everybody was hip to what was going to happen inside of the Democratic Party. So they all played the game. Well, what's happening now? It's playing out. Donald Trump will stay in office. And Van Jones said he could be in the office months while we adjudicate this whole thing with the Supreme Court. He's exactly right. He will be. Donald Trump will continue to be president probably months in before the final tally comes in and he says, I am officially president. And while he's doing that, he'll be kicking butt and taking names. And God bless him. God bless the founding fathers for putting all these things in the Constitution who figured out that we would have people of the level of, at an unscrupulous level, unprecedented in man, who would be willing to steal the election. These very flawed white men who wrote slavery out of the Constitution, who wrote this moment into the Constitution, and then we picked the right dude for the right time. So anyway, look, guys, here's what I'd like you to do. One, subscribe to my channel. And I've got 1,700 people, give or take, on this channel. It's not bad for a month. But if everybody gets me one person to come over and take a peek at these KEV talks, it won't take me very long to get 500,000, 1 million people and get the numbers out there. For my days at Fox News, and I don't know if even people remember me from Fox, but there are people that are out there that do, and they say, Kevin, you were awesome on Fox. I think it was a huge mistake for Fox to fire me over calling the Kavanaugh accusers, or tweeting that the Kavanaugh accusers were lying skanks, because they are lying skanks. I stand by it, and I'm never taking it back until the day I die. It'll never leave my mouth. What's her face? Blasey Ford is a lying skank, as was Swetnick. And the other lady that nobody wants to talk about, her name was Martinez or Garcia or something like that. 3 women accusing Kavanaugh. They were all lying skanks. So, you know, Fox took me off, called it, what did they say? They said, oh, my comments were reprehensible. My tweet was reprehensible. And so now the hyenas at Fox are suffering because these chicks that run Fox don't know how to run it. They've run it into the ground. They've gotten rid of people that will give you the straight scoop. And now I'm left to stuff like this. Now I'm happy. 11 people are on right now. You know, Bongino, who's a good friend of mine, or Dinesh, or all these other guys, Brandon Tatum, Steven Crowder, they look at these numbers and probably not even, they'd shut it down. What? I'm not going to talk to you guys. I'll talk to you, because this will live in infamy. Somebody else will see this and go, you know what? That dude was spot on. But here's what I'll tell you. I don't know what the other guys deliver. I'm going to give you truth. I'm going to give you insights that come from a perspective that you probably haven't thought of. Sometimes it'll be things that I have that are inside scoop, you know, maybe like a Bongino or somebody else. But generally, it's just my own ideas. I don't watch other people for that reason, because I want you to know these are my ideas. And everything that comes across my desk, that comes through my any part of my staff, we analyze it, and I give you my ideas, and they're unadulterated. I don't care about sponsors. You know, if YouTube shuts me down right now, I haven't made a nickel on YouTube. There are guys making $1 million a month. Crowder's maybe one of them, because he's got over 5 million people. But here's what I do know. If I ever get to Crowder's audience, they will love what I say. If I ever get to Brandon's audience or anybody else's audience that's on here, Joe Rogan, they will love what I say. And as we get more and more time and put this stuff together, well, this is practically stand-up comedy for me, because of the silliness of these leftists, these Joe Biden's staff. I dare you, go look at Joe Biden's staff, and then go look at a Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey circus, and tell me you can't match them up person to person. The bearded lady, the chick with a with a hoo-ha hanging on the outside of her body, the 2-headed snake monster, the 3-headed midget plate spinner, whatever. They're all on there. And it's funny. It's comedy. Let me tell you what's not comedy. The late night hacks that want to marginalize you, that want you to believe that you're stupid because you voted for Trump. They're looking for things to go after Trump about. I dare you, look at Trevor Noah's commercials, because they're on everywhere, and there's nothing funny about it. The funny stuff is that these clowns believe that they can fool us into believing that Joe Biden is the president that everybody wants for this country. Captain Demento, Joey Fingers, is the person that we want running this country, and this freak show that he's brought in. So anyway, I'm asking you guys, subscribe. I'm asking you to go find me other people. I don't know what it's going to take. We suck at social media. I've never got on this thing and said, oh, geez, we're going to go out and find millions of people. Maybe we should have. Maybe we should have done a much better job. But we're asking for you guys to do it, because we're shadow banned. If the information that we put out and the way I put it out leaks out, we'll have millions of people hitting our channels. I don't know what the cabal is, but here's what I will tell you. I always say this. It's all God's plan. Whatever it is, it's all God's plan. And I believe this election is all God's plan. I believe that the people that are on here right now are all God's plan. Oh, Daniel says most people just regurgitate the news. You're right. They don't have an opinion about it. And what's interesting is that if it is an opinion about it, it's probably something you've already come to your own conclusion about. You know, when I developed the black sphere, I did it not because it was racial. It was meant to be a black hole. And it was a sphere because it holds the most volume in space. And the idea around it was we had all the ideas were there. In every angle, you could look at the idea. Before I bring you something, I've already thought about it. I don't have to think about global climate force. I know that's weather. I don't have to think about immigration. I lock my doors. Do I want a border wall? Yes, I lock my doors. That proves I want a border wall. We condense stuff down to its core. And more importantly, we help you to sort of put your own ideas around it. So you're not going, well, leftism does make sense. And that leftism doesn't make sense. Not in any way. Leftism wants you, I don't know how many of you folks are white. Leftism wants you white folks to believe that you should be guilty by your birthright. Look, okay, so if let's just use that one as an example. If you should be guilty for being white, and what should I feel for being black? Because there's a yin and a yang to the universe. If you should feel guilty, well, then I should feel pretty pathetic for being born black. Well, if what you're telling me is through your guilt, I should be pathetic, isn't that kind of racist? Isn't that so the point is we're going to give you the ammunition to go, that's just stupid. When somebody says to me, I should feel guilt because I'm white, and you fire back, that's just the most racist thing I've ever heard. They go, how is that? Because what you're saying is blacks are inferior. Now, that's a quick end of the argument. Oh, so I'm superior by virtue of this, right? So when I see a black person, I should see an inferior person. Is that what you're telling me? Racist? That's what we do. We teach people how to think differently so that they can just nip this crap in the bud. And I want you to imagine if every white person that's ever seen me were to fire back, that is the most racist thing I've ever heard. You believe blacks are inferior. That's what you're telling me. You believe blacks are inferior. Oh, no. You believe blacks are inferior. Yeah, no. If you did that, it would end. They would never talk about white guilt. They would never talk about white privilege or anything else again. But we don't, I know why Facebook has whatever they call it, unpublished my page. That's what they did. I know why Twitter doesn't let me grow, because I will teach people how to fire back like that and end the conversation. This guy, one guy says I'm a mutt. Let me tell you something about mutts. So we're doing a critical race theory video in partnership with the Heritage Foundation. And I did, the video is very simple. Who are you? And we run a DNA thing of a person that has Congo, Africa, blah, 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 blah. And at the end of it, you know what they look like? They look white. They might as well be Rachel Dolezal. But they'll have all these African, name, Congo, Senegal, Benin, Togo, whatever. It's got all these African countries, and then Sweden and whatever. And you look at the picture and you can't tell who they are. Let me tell you something, folks, about race, since we've changed gears here a little bit. You go look at Benjamin Jealous, who used to run the NAACP. Tell me that's a black dude. Look at John Conyers and tell me John Conyers is more black than he is white. There are features of white folks where you go, you're not black. I'm 79% black, according to my ancestry DNA. So do I only get 79% of the benefits of being black? Can I say, hey, brother, and I have to cut it off because I can't actually say ER, hey, bruh, because I'm only 79%. It's ridiculous. The hardly any homogeneous people in America for a reason. We're an amalgam of folks, but we talk about race all the time. So how about we do this? We require everybody in Congress to publish their DNA. You got to tell us what you are, what percentage. And here's what's going to happen. A lot of the white people that have been feeling guilty about being white go, shoot, dude, I'm 17% black, baby. Yeah, because there used to be a thing called the one drop rule. You got one drop of black, you're black. That was what racist Southerners used to think, these Democrats. But what is it? What's the I can tell you this, I think it's 1/16 or 1/32, and you can claim blackness if you want to go to college, you could claim African-American only being 1/32 black. Okay. So Who's black? How about we determine this stuff of who's black and who's white? And then let's hold them to it. Let's say, okay, Conyers, well, you say that you want something for the white man and the black man. Well, you're 50-50, so you get nothing. Benjamin Jealous, you're 73% white and only 27% black. You're off the planet. We get caught up in this stuff and nobody fights back. Nobody even knows how to fight back. So that's what our team does. We're making a series of videos pushing back against Black Lives Matter. We're making videos pushing back against this stupid 1619 project that says America was founded on racism and it remains racist. In a country that elected a black president that's got more black, I can name more black multimillionaires and billionaires right now. If I say go and you name white ones and I name black ones, I can name as many as you quicker. You want to know why? Because Oprah, Denzel, LeBron, they're at the forefront of our discussion for everything. We could just go on. I could name half the NBA teams. I don't follow any sports anymore, but if I knew the players, I would just name all the players. I name all the actors. We act like black folks can't get ahead in this country. It's just stupid. And we should stop talking about this stuff and learn how to fight correctly. So anyway, Joe Biden, not going to be president. Check out our stuff, unhyphenatedamerica.org. Here's the deal. Go to the kevinjacksonnetwork.com. That's where everything will be. The site's being reworked. It's going to be beautiful in about a week. And support this broadcast, support the work that we do, and bring people over, because I can't do that. I'm going to do this, but I can't do the rest of it. So thank you guys for participating. We're going to end this stream.